Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me all right? So my name is Donna Burns. I'm the Dean of Continuing Education at Mount San Antonio College in Southern California. It's in the eastern part of LA County. And we happen to have a very large non-credit program with very similar kinds of programs and services as our adult ed colleagues. So I want to tell you a little bit about our local consortium. Our region has a single college, community college district, and 10 unified school districts, of which 8 joined our consortium. So there are a total of 9 active districts in our consortium. So we have a lot of members. There's a lot of variation in consortia statewide, and we represent a wide range of program sizes and perspectives. Our region has about 800,000 adults living within its boundaries. Our demographics indicate a strong need for adult education. For example, our poverty rate is higher than that of LA County as a whole. Our percentage of non-native English speakers is higher than LA County as a whole. We have a higher percentage of adults lacking a high school diploma as LA County as a whole. About 1/3 of Mount San Antonio College's enrollment is from outside of our district boundaries, which is one of the dynamics in local consortium planning. Students don't care about boundaries of a consortium. They're going to go where they believe their needs will be met and maybe following bus lines. Our region has a history of collaboration and cooperation among the school districts and the college. For example, we have in the past created more than 200 articulation agreements between the community college and the various districts in career and technical education courses, so that school district students passing these articulated courses at their local schools can earn college credit upon entering Mount SAC for completion of those courses. We collaborate in providing high school credit recovery courses. Our counselors among the different school districts have collaborated over the years on events to better understand all of our students and the various options and pathways that they have. So our relationships among the districts have historically been very positive. It's been 1 year since the funds for AB 86 were released and we could begin our work. Funds were released in March 2014. We held a region-wide kickoff event that same month. We organized the work into task groups that aligned with the 5 program areas in the AB 86 plans. The task groups mostly were comprised of teachers with some classified staff and a few administrators. All of the task groups were co-chaired by teachers. And then the work overall was led by a steering committee with 1 point person from each district, and we made decisions by consensus. We hired a part-time coordinator to help organize our work. We were able to meet the July, October, and December deadlines mainly because the teachers in the task groups worked very hard through the summer to do a bulk of the planning. And our focus in December and March, which of course were the final report deadlines, were prioritization of the plan and finalizing the budget. Key aspects of our consortium plan include program growth, because everybody was shrunk during the recession. We have good courses already, good programs already, region-wide. We need to be able to build that back up. Creating college and career pathways, including transitional courses with contextualized instructions. Expanding online and distance learning, and then expanded student services, including some shared counseling and core services that will help facilitate pathways, not only from the adult schools into the community college, but from community college non-credit into perhaps CTE programs offered by the adult schools. Mm-hmm. This month marks 1 year since our kickoff event. In 2 days, we will have a one-day region-wide conference to present the plan and roll it out among our all of our faculty and staff in the districts. We are calling it, with great creativity, the Rollout Conference. And the afternoon breakouts are being led by teachers from the program teams. So here are some things that went well. Our program teams embraced the work with sincerity and a passion for students and their needs, and a willingness to work together and learn from one another. There was some tension, which is natural, but their honesty and commitment to the work really drew them together, and as a result they have developed an authentic connection to students and to one another, and they really bonded at the program team level. We met our deadlines. Overall, we were unified in our priorities. Here are some challenges. The plan identifies more strategies than we have funding for at this point. We knew it would be the case and felt it was better to focus on what should happen, particularly in the long run. Genuine collaborative planning by a group of our size is messy, and it takes time. Good work always takes time, and good collaborative work takes more time. So it's important for people to understand that this is just the beginning of an ongoing but very positive process. Some key solutions need to be done at the state level and can't be solved at the local level. One of the key things is a system of shared student identification and data. As I said, students don't care about regional boundaries. They're mobile. And if we're going to really share data on student accomplishments and results, we need the state to support us with a statewide data system that serves adult learners and can cross the two systems. As a local educator of adults through the community college, I have a couple of concerns about the current proposal. The first is the proposed regional allocation committee, and Bob already went into that, and I agree with what he said. Second, as a community college non-credit educator, I have a long-standing commitment to free enrollment for non-credit students. I don't believe in charging fees for registration for a class. I believe financial aid should be reserved, or should be a goal for students who are moving into higher education, because there's a time clock on financial aid, and too many students start financial aid early on in pre-collegiate level courses, and they've burned through their time limit before they even get into higher education. That's a big concern I have. They also are our most marginalized and low-income people. Finally, I strongly oppose any proposal to fold community college non-credit funding into the block grant. The community college mission is to serve all adults through both credit and non-credit options. Many of our student ed plans incorporate both credit and non-credit courses into a single education plan. Non-credit is integral to the general fund planning of education by colleges at the local level and should not be pulled out of an integrated plan by a local community college, because our planning addresses all of the needs of the adults. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and testimony. Questions or comments from committee members? Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you. Mr. Harper and Ms. Burns, thank you. I think your passion for adult education shows today. As a former adult education teacher for many years, I appreciate what adult education does for our students. And as a high school teacher, I appreciated what it did for my students with regard to credit recovery and so forth. And the way I see it is adult education makes America work. It's, a lot of our a lot of people who are newly immigrated to the United States go there to learn English speaking skills. That's a job skill. Citizenship tests, etc. The list goes on. So adult education, to me, I'm very passionate about it because I've seen it work. I've helped deliver it, and I've seen the success it can deliver. Just a couple questions. You spoke with regard to the governor's proposal. I think we're in line. It does appear to me to be a solution looking for a problem. Why don't you elaborate on what you think some of the challenges are of the proposal on the ground from your perspective?
Well, for the first issue you raise is the fiscal agent. So the fiscal agent is handling the money. It's the banker. It doesn't mean anything. Well, if it doesn't mean anything, why do we have to have it? I mean, the existing fiscal structures already send money to the providers. What's the purpose of this additional bureaucracy? And I think because it imputes certain governance rights, authority, and sends wrong kinds of messages to some of the players, that the existence of that can actually get in the way of simply collaborating as needed. Another problem that I would see with the proposal, and I absolutely respect everything Donna says. I agree with about 99, 44, 100% she says all the time. But the non-credit world is changed now, right? I mean, so the apportionment for non-credit is equal to credit. So a good friend in CFT calls it sort of the Oklahoma land rush, that everyone's sort of rushing in now to build non-credit programs, right? And that could be great for the state of California. Wonderful things can happen. But why isn't that whole initiative part of the regional planning? So if you're adding non-credit courses that serve adult learners, then you have this other group of partners that are working together to figure out what the regional plan for adult education is. Somehow that has to touch, whether it's funding or approving whatever. I mean, it has to be on the radar. So somehow that has to be addressed. And RCAP, as we've described it, that sort of plan, could have elements that say that and I think LAO just said it earlier, so all of the resources in a region that sort of contribute to this noble goal, whether it's WIB or enhanced non-credit in the community college, library literacy programs, I mean, county social services, they need to work together and to have a collective impact on the region. I'll go on forever, so I'll shut up.
I appreciate that. So
Shut up? Is that...
we have some challenges with regard to the funding model or how those funds would be doled out, for sure. Maybe you could elaborate, either of you, on some accountability with regard to some workforce development and how that might play out going forward.
Well, again, accountability depends on being able to share our outcomes. And right now, we're producing outcomes. We're producing industry certificates. We're producing community college and adult school program certificates for completion of courses. Right now, at the community college level in non-credit, we are providing grades so that progression along a basic skills sequence of courses can be tracked. But all of that needs state support to actually aggregate the data, because it's staying at the local level. So if we want to know as a state how we're doing, there needs to be a state system. Locally, we've got our data, and we do come together and share outcomes at the local level.
I'd add that there is the WIA, soon-to-be WIOA system, right? So the federal government has metrics of progress towards workforce preparation. By definition, that's what that is. There are some issues with it, and having a single measure like a high-stakes test or a standardized test like CASAS is not the sole solution. So the CASAS test that we use that measures progress of basic skills in all of the adult schools that are federally funded is a place to start. But since that system is mandated anyway, begin there. So there is a state system in place. It just needs to be improved and built upon.
But again, that's only for those who are getting a WIA grant, WIOA grant, and it's only basic skills. So it doesn't include everyone yet. And thank you for acknowledging the limitations of any single multiple choice reading test.
Okay,
basically.
Thank you.
Mr. Chavez?
She can go. I just got here.
I saw your hand first. So Member Kim.
Sure. Thank you very much. It's really refreshing to hear from the local perspective of what we're trying to do here. I don't have any particular question, but just observation. What we're hearing is the creation of a fiscal allocation board is what the local is really concerned about. But I just want to make an observation. I don't have a position as of this time yet because it is this adult education proposal is an ongoing negotiation with the governor. So between now and until May revision, I will be constantly listening to the experts coming in and telling us how this or this is not working. But the notion of allocation board, while this is concerning, that we may be creating a new bureaucracy that we probably do not need. Also think of it in a way that fiscal agent is also needed because somebody has to control how the money is being spent, how it's allocated. So I think it is also a needed process to have a fiscal agent to ensure that the monies are going where it's needed to go, and in case at the local level, K through 12 or community colleges do not want to send or spend the money the way that we intended. I just wanted to throw that out and share that thought with you.
Thank you.
Feel free to comment if you have different thoughts.
Well, right now the fiscal agent is one of those members, so I mean that's part of the problem. So if it really were a neutral point of contact in a region, then that might hold. But all of these providers already receive money, and they already go through audits. I mean, so money comes from someplace already to these providers. So creating several other stops where the money has to go, to me, is that's why I say an additional unnecessary bureaucracy. And all those places that get money, there are audits, there's accountability, already there in process.
Thank you. Mr. Chavez?
I read the report ahead of time, and I'm just happy to see we're here because 2 years ago when the plan was to cut adult education at this committee hearing, I was one of the guys who way slow down because having been elected in a local community, knew the great role that adult education provided. And I've attended in my own district a number of the consortium meetings, and it's interesting in my district is that one is actually using the community college system and another one is at the high school. And it's kind of fun to walk between the two different groups and seeing the total different discussion. But that's appropriate because when we had the discussion before, the argument was for adult education, the resources and the needs are different in Northern California than they are in Los Angeles, and to allow you to determine what is best within your districts. So, and I've looked at your organization as far as how you tie together in the finances, and I'm happy for that. The direct question I have for both of you, and I would have asked it earlier, but I was off at another committee meeting on a bill. Do you have any clients, students who are coming from the prison system into either of your programs?
For the community college, no. But one of the members of our regional consortium has had a history, Hacienda La Puente has had a history of serving incarcerated adults and is still, I'm not an expert on their program, but is still involved with it in our region locally.
I've run jail education in previous adult schools in our local consortium. One of the adult schools runs the jail program in San Jose, a huge program in San Jose jail. So corrections was part of the consortium planning process. That they were a key informant, stakeholder in the planning. Exit plans for out of corrections will include adult education. No wrong door means the place in your place of incarceration where you get educational services as well, they should receive the same access to services and support around education as people in a library. They're absolutely unified in our local consortium.
Well, that's good to hear. I would. I noticed in the report that we had that there was a movement possibly eliminating services for adults in correctional facilities with the creation of this organization. If I would have been here with the Department of Finance or the governors, I would have asked them that question, is that appropriate? Because in my district, again, we have the Vista Detention Center run by the county. And in the Vista Detention Center, they have a module with veterans. And in this center, it's been up now going into its first year. Every inmate who's gone through this process with veterans and education and transition, every one of them have not got back in jail again. So it's really working. And we know that in the prison system, that's not normally the case. It's just a revolving door. So so the Department of Finance, if you're out there hearing me, I'm going to be fighting this issue because where I 100% support what we're doing, the consortium is in adult education. I also know that we need to take care of the individuals transitioning out of the prison so that we can reduce our populations. So I'll be looking at that very strongly and just want to make that a public statement. I also have a letter here from the San Diego County Sheriff's, Sheriff and Gore, that I'll share with all the different members on why it's so important that they receive their funding to ensure the transition. So thank you.
A literacy gain is the greatest correlative to recidivism. I mean, if an inmate makes a literacy gain, they're much less likely to return to jail.
Thank you very much for saying that, because I agree with you. So good job.
Mr. Ting?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a district where I have adult ed in both the community college system as well as at the in the K-12 system. They both seem to work fairly well. As you know, the reason around the thinking of consolidation or moving toward the community college system was, with the K-12 system having such a heavy focus on children, how does the adult ed system fit in district by district? And I guess my question that was my question to you. My question to you would be, in terms of community colleges, the part of the district that has adult ed in K-12 is San Mateo County. All of the community colleges are in more remote places, none of which can really be accessed by any level of public transit. So if you have a car, you can probably get there, but if you rely on public transit, they're not very centrally located. So how do we struggle with that?
Well, I think that's why the whole notion of regional consortia developed, is that we have two systems with distinct strengths but a lot in common with this particular mission, and it varies a lot regionally. So in some places, the community college has a very robust program working side by side with other very robust programs. That would be our region, where collaboration and consideration of all of the resources, all the resources, it should be part of the planning. But there are places where community colleges don't do any non-credit offerings other than non-credit labs, which is part of regular non-credit funding. And the adult schools are doing it, and so they should be doing it. And the community colleges should support that and say, how do we collaborate? Yeah.
So San Mateo is a place where great things are happening, and that consortium is a model consortium. And it's true that the community colleges there are up on the ridge and the hill, all three of them, and they're like the castle on the top of the hill. But you know, but Sequoia Adult School has co-located classes, so the college, like Kenyatta College, comes down and co-locates classes. So they're building great. They're making that solution so those students can get to the top of the hill, figuratively and geographically. My last superintendent, I had said about adult ed, you know, why would we get rid of adult education? It'd be like we got rid of 10th grade. I mean, that school district, my school district, sees 100 years of offering, you know, high school level education, whether you're 17 and struggling to finish, or you're 24 and had a hard time and are coming back, or you're an immigrant and you need those skills. That's core to the mission of my school district, and they're baffled to understand why anyone wouldn't understand that.
And I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the other part of the district I represent, San Francisco, half of the non-credit courses offered by our city college are English as a second language. And frankly, without those non-credit courses, we wouldn't have anywhere near the vibrant economy that we would, whether it's culinary, whether it's auto shop, whether it's construction. So much of it is trades work. And so those are incredibly critical courses. They're not, frivolous by any stretch of the imagination. They're extremely core to our city, core to the economy, and core to the education system. I also wanted to reiterate my concern around the what appears to be a redundant bureaucracy. We currently do have a system that is charged with funding adult ed. It does seem sort of puzzling why we would need to create a whole new system of similar actors, or, like you said, people who are already involved. I'm not sure what result we would get by doing it. So it is very, very concerning for me. But also, having said that, I think it is core that we continue to find ways to deliver adult ed better. We're at a place in our country right now where we are looking to potentially naturalize, provide greater paths to citizenship for more and more people, and they're going to be looking at both of your institutions as ways to get into citizenship, whether it's learning English, naturalization classes. You're probably one of the few paths available, and definitely the only affordable path available. So it's at a time where you're going to have more demand than ever. I think it's very important that we continue to work this out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I know we have a lot of interest in public comment on this topic, including many people outside. So we're going to start that process now. We're going to have people line up over here on the, or in the middle actually, on the side. We're going to try to do 1 minute per speaker or less, and please try to hear the comments from the prior speaker and be succinct. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Dawn Kepke with McHugh Kepke & Associates here today on behalf of the California Council for Adult Education and California Adult Education Administrators Association. Thank you so much for the time today, hearing out the issues, hearing from our representative, Bob Harper. We really look forward to working with the committee going into May Revise. We feel like we've had some great discussions with Department of Finance and the Administration, as well as with all of you, and look forward to continuing to ensure that the K-12 adult education in particular is stabilized in this proposal going forward, and that we're working towards better coordination and pathway development for our students. So thank you. You'll be hearing from a number of our folks. Today's their Ledge Day here at the Capitol, as we'll be wearing those blue buttons supporting K-12 adult education. So we appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Joanne Durkee. I'm with Mount Diablo Unified School District, Director of Adult Education, also Ledge Chair for CCAE, and I was a member of the original AB 86 work group at the state. So I just have 2 points I want to add to the discussion. First of all, thank you all for this hearing. When we talk about in AB 86 basic skills, it's just become clear to me that if we had defined that as adults who do not have a high school diploma or equivalency, I think it would kind of narrow the scope more efficiently. That's what it is for K-12 adult education. That's how we define adult basic education, adult secondary education. It's our mission. And I think it would get away from some of the confusion around non-credit and all of that. And then secondly, just to underscore the point that the real critical importance of K-12 adult schools receiving funding directly from CDE for the integrity of our identity adult schools as a real local educational agency. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Angela Hatter. I'm the principal of Contra Costa Adult School, a program located inside of Contra Costa County Jails. And we are an active member through Contra Costa County Office of Education. We are an active member of the local AB 86 regional consortium and have been very engaged in this process and really excited to be here. I actually have one student here who has participated in our jail education programs over the years, and another student who would have been here, but he had a promotional interview on his job. So we do help people transition. That is our goal, and we're very excited to be here to get your continued support in this effort.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mark Steinley, Baldwin Park Adult School. I've been a teacher there for about 20 years. A couple things. Number one, we appreciate your work. Sitting here, I'm just so excited to hear you guys talk about this. We would like to applaud the governor's effort to provide a $500 million block grant, and we look forward to a collaborative effort. We do have concerns about the allocation boards. They're well intended, but their rules, what are they going to be? What happens if they can't come to a vote? just as an example. We also have concerns about the fiscal agents. For example, if they have board meetings and they don't coincide with the board meetings of the schools in the local areas, you could see delayed funding. There's problems there. And to piggyback on Assemblyman Chavez, we really, as adult ed teachers, not only work in the jails, but also with people who have probation officers. And I'm a lot cheaper to pay than an incarceration situation. And we're very happy to do that. We do have one concern about the Department of Finance suggestion that we base the MOE on the 2012-13 year. In our district, that could be problematic. You could see a reduction from 5.2 million to 3.7 million in our district if you base it on that year. So we applaud, again, I don't think that the effort by the Department of Finance to lock it into that year was well intended, but there are maybe some unintended consequences to that. So I have a letter, if I can give that to the Sergeant at Arms, to distribute to the Assembly members from John Kerr, who's the Senior Director of Baldwin Park Adult Education, just to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
My name is Sierra Connolly, and I just recently graduated from Cache Valley Adult and Career Education, and I am currently in my first semester at Chabot College, thanks to them, and they're helping me transition. And I just wanted to say thank you for your support and allowing me to be here today.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Juan Noguera. I am with K-12 Adult Education in Los Angeles, former English learner, now a teacher with Los Angeles Unified School District. Thank you for your support, but I believe that we are not doing enough. In Los Angeles, there are more than 350 students that we were used to serve in 2010. Now we have only 98,000 students, adult students. It's urgent that we expand adult education by cutting bureaucracy. I think that's one of the big problems. We need to expedite the service to our community in Los Angeles. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.